We are just about to get underway with qualifying number 2 for Cooper Tires Indy Pro 2000. This is their second qualifying session. It is 20 minutes in length. Before we do that, I'd like to remind you once again that if you want a Porsche GT3 driver autograph, head over to the paddock to the Yokohama Tire Compound. Porsche GT3 drivers will be signing autographs from 11 to 11:30 as the cars go out on course to begin their qualifying. Again, a 20-minute session for Indy Pro 2000. This is the Firestone Grand Prix of Monterey. 15 drivers in this series. Looking at the qualifications for race 1, the drivers to watch will be Stingray Bob, who is driving the number 2 car. He qualified first. He's from Payette, Idaho, in the Juncos Racing Team entry. Second quickest in the first qualifying session was Kyle Kirkwood in the number 28 car from Jupiter, Florida, in the RP Motorsports entry. Rasmus Lind in car number 10 was third quick and will start on the second row for the first race. He's from Gothenburg, Sweden, in the Juncos Racing entry. Fourth quick in that first session was Jacob Abel, car 51, from Louisville, Kentucky, in the Abel Motorsports entry. He's fifth. Skip Parker Thompson, who actually qualified fourth. I apologize to him, in car number 8. He's from Red Deer, Canada, the Able Motorsports entry. So those are drivers to watch. The quick time in the first qualifying session, set by Stingray Robb, was 1:20.16 seconds. Kyle Kirkwood at a 1:20.44. Rasmus Lind at a 1:20.45. It was that close. So it's going to take a couple of laps for these drivers to get those tires up to speed. Very competitive series. These drivers now doing qualifying for race number 2. Following this qualifying session, we'll have race 1 for Mazda MX-5 Cup, and then the Porsche GT3 race 1 will take place. After that, we go into our final qualifying session of the day. That's for the Firestone Fast 6 in the NTT IndyCar Series. And we close out the day with 4 races. Race 1 for Indy Lights, race 1 for Indy Pro 2000, race 1 for USF 2000, and we conclude the day with race 1 for the Mazda MX-5 cars. Right now it's Indy Pro 2000 qualifying. They will have their race at 4:10 this afternoon. It's a 40-minute race. 15 cars are out there, and 15 cars did qualify for the first race. Remember, this qualifying session sets the grid for race 2, which will take place tomorrow. Right now, we've got a racetrack full of Indy Pro 2000 cars presented by Cooper Tires and Allied Building Products. Take a lap or two for tires to get up to temperature and get that grip in there, and all the fluids in the cars to get warmed up so the cars are running efficiently. Stingray Robb, as I mentioned, one of the drivers to watch in this series. He will be on the pole for race 1 today, followed by Kyle Kirkwood, Rasmus Lind, Parker Thompson, and Jacob Abel. Pretty international field if you look at him. Robb from Payette, Idaho. Parker Thompson from Red Deer, Canada. Rasmus Lind from Gothenburg, Sweden. Both Kirkwood and Lind, who qualified second and third for today's race, are rookies in this series. In fact, 3 of the top 5 drivers are rookies. Kyle Kirkwood in the 28 car, who starts second in today's race. Rasmus Lind in car 10, who starts third. And Jacob Abel in car 51, who starts 5th. Actually, first lap on the board, only about a second off their best qualifying time for yesterday. Again, the quick time yesterday, a 1:20.1 by Stingray Robb, and He sets the quickest lap on lap 2 here in this 20-minute session, a 121.01, followed by Rasmus Lind in car number 10, and it's Kyle Kirkwood. The number 7 car of Corey Enders, 4th quick, and 5th is the number 5 car of Artem Petrov. $121.0 for Stingray Rob. Rasmus Lind 121.4. Jay Abel at a 121.6. Kirkwood 121.7, and Enders at a 121.8. And Rasmus Lind goes to the top, and then he gets bumped off by Stingray Robb. Stingray Robb now down to a 120.475. That's about 3/10 off his pole qualifying time for race 1. 120.74 for Stingray Robb. Rasmus Lind at 120.95. Then Kyle Kirkwood. Daniel Frost now in the 68 car up to 4th, and Anton Petrov in car number 5 is still running in 5th. We're only 6 minutes into a 20-minute session. These cars continue to circulate, trying to find quick times. We're a good starting position for tomorrow's race. Grid already set for race 1, which will take place this afternoon. Get points for pole position. In all of these series, the championships will be decided here this weekend at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca as part of the Firestone Grand Prix of Monterey weekend. No change in the times as Robb completes lap 4. Kirkwood 2nd. Rasmus Lind drops to 3rd. Frost is 4th. Artem Petrov still 5th in the number 5 car. Then it's Corey Enders of Warwick, New York, in the number 7 car, running in the 6th spot. 7th, the number 6 car of Moises de la Vera of Guadalajara, Mexico. 8th, Jay Abel in the 51 car. He's from Louisville, Kentucky. 9th, Parker Thompson in the number 8 car. Thompson from Red Deer, Canada. And rounding out the top 10 in the number 11 car, Antonio Ceravalli from Toronto, Canada. But so far this weekend, it's been all Stingray Bob. The young Idaho driver dominated the first session and qualified on the pole for this afternoon's race. And right now he's on his way to his 2nd pole of the weekend with a quick time of 1:20.474 seconds. About 2/10 of a second back, Kyle Kirkwood, followed by Rasmus Lind, Frost, and Petrov. There's your quick 5. Matt Round-Garrido from Stourbridge, England, is in the 11th spot. That's car 27. Car number 3 of Antoine Corneau, Montreal, Quebec, Canada, is next. Then it's the number 90 car of Nikita Lastochkin from Moscow, Russia. Car number 91, Philip Dennis of Los Angeles, California. And final car on our list, number 83, Charles Finelli of New York. Is 15th quick. Still Stingray Bob. with a best time of 1:20.4. No changes at the top. He turned that quick lap on lap 4, I believe. Kyle Kirkwood's gone 5 laps. And he's about 0.2 of a second behind Rob. Lind still third quick in the 10 car, followed by Frost in 68 and Artem Petrov in car number 5. We're at the midpoint of the session. 10 minutes gone, 10 minutes to go. See if they're coming in to change any tires or make any adjustments. Got the track all to themselves. Things are warming up a little bit, which is going to change the performance parameters, be a little bit slower than they were if they were running earlier in the day when the temperatures are cooler. Engines breathe a little better. Tires can grip a little better when it gets hot. The course gets even more slippery than it is. Laguna's surface not that abrasive, but it does have high tire degradation. I guess because it's so slippery, there's a lot of sideways action. The cars slide back and forth, and that has a tendency to wear out the tires more quickly. But it's still Stingray Bob, and he has not bettered that lap he turned earlier on lap 4 of this session. He's in the number 2 car. Best time 1:20.47. Kyle Kirkwood still second in car number 28. And Rob Howden, the voice of the Road to Indy, joins me up here in the booth. We're a little better than halfway through the session, Rob.
Yeah, we had some things to do before I was able to get up here. Very exciting, actually, Dick, for the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. An announcement in the press room of a team expanding from the program up into the Indy Lights series to add some cars for next year. Michael and Kimberly Duncalf's exclusive Autosport have confirmed that they will have at least, well, they're looking for a 2-car team next year. They've got the vehicles. They've got a driver signed already. They're not saying who that driver is. But indeed, add a couple more cars. Exclusive Autosport, which has drivers in F1600 in Canada. They have a USF 2000 team, an Indy Pro team, and now we'll have an Indy Lights team in 2020 as well. So very, very big news for the Road to Indy.
Wow, that's great news. Well, a couple of drivers in the pits. Frost is in the pits. De La Vera also in the pits, as is Parker Thompson. Ron Garrido in the pits. Zlatoshkin and Dennis. Yeah, I'm surprised that Parker Thompson's not further up that timing monitor than he is. He's ninth.
Remember as well, first half of the session, right? Drivers going out on their used tires from before, getting a feel for the car. Now they'll come in and make adjustments. I watched a couple drivers leave here right now with fresh Cooper tires. One of them was the number 68 of Daniel Frost pulling out here with fresh rubber on. So really, as we get now to this halfway point, past the halfway point, 7 minutes remaining, fresh rubber. Drivers going out to try to do that qualifying run. That last run, they've made a little adjustment. Back on the racetrack, Stingray Robb back on top as he was yesterday. Pole position. He's been very strong in qualifying over the last number of races. Stingray at 1:20.474.
Yeah, he's looking for his second pole of the weekend. Yeah, he's already on the pole for this afternoon's race. He wants to double down.
Came within a couple of tenths of a second of breaking the track record that is held since 2008. 11 years for Richard Kent, who was running with Anderson Racing at that time, the Anderson Racing team. Kent, a 1:19.935. We're about a half a second off that now. But again, temps starting to climb up a little bit here, Dick, as we're coming up to the noon hour now. Kyle Kirkwood, your championship contender, P2. Rasmuth Limp, the other driver fighting for the championship, 20 points back as they come into the races here today and tomorrow. Kyle Kirkwood in a position to potentially win this championship. Daniel Frost in 4th, Artem Petrov 5th. So, 4 different teams? 5 different teams actually in the top 8. It's impressive to see that. Stingray Robb up front for Juncos Racing. Kyle Kirkwood for RP Motorsports Racing. Rob's teammate Lint, P3 for Juncos.
You mentioned that Kirkwood and Lind are both fighting for the championship. They are 0.02 of a second apart in qualifying times.
Yeah, but 20 points apart on the standings. They look very good. Both look very good here now. And again, if they finish pretty close together, it's going to allow Kirkwood to take this championship. But all it takes is one issue. You know that, right? And
well, look what happened this morning in qualifying.
With Hunter McElroy in USF 2000, an issue with the throttle sensor. He's not able to get a time in. Actually brought out 2 red flags. That meant he was parked for the remainder of the session. So Hunter McElroy is going to be starting at the tail of the field. That storyline changed hugely as he came in with so much momentum trying to win a championship.
Yeah, now he's going to have to win it from the back of the pack in race 1. His championship hopes are going to end up relying on his result in that first race of the day.
Yeah, he's going to have to drop the hammer for sure. He had a pretty good run, though, in that qualifying session. He'll start on the outside of the front row with Braden Eves, so that'll be a big battle. If Hunter can take that win away from Braden, that's going to give him a little bit more gap, and it'll change where he needs to finish on Sunday morning when we cap off the season. Again, this is the season finale for the entire road to Indy once again. USF 2000, Indy Pro, and Indy Lights, all capping off the 2019 schedule. We'll crown champions on Monday, giving out over $2.2 million worth of awards and prizes.
Lots of money up for grabs.
No doubt about it. The scholarships are so impressive. Here comes Parker Thompson onto the racetrack. Only 4 minutes, a little over 4 minutes to go. Parker's going to have a couple of laps to get the job done. That'll be it. By the time he gets around, he may get 2 flying laps. A late run to the pit lane for Parker Thompson. Or not late run in. I think they made a lot of changes because remember, I think he was in pit lane by the time I got back up here.
He was, yes.
So he's been in pit lane for probably 5 or 6 minutes. They had to make some major changes to the number 8 of Parker Thompson. He's back out onto the racetrack.
To this point, he is 9th quick so far in the session, and he's going to work on improving that. That would start him on the inside of row 5. He wants to get closer to the front of that grid before this is all over with. No change for Stingray Robb or Kyle Kirkwood, even Rasmus Lind. They've all pretty much stayed with the times that they turned earlier and have not gone quicker yet. Although, as you mentioned, a couple of them have put on new tires.
Yeah, just putting indeed, did they put new tires on? I wasn't able to see whether or not Robb, Kirkwood, or Lind put fresh rubber on. Maybe they're holding that set for one of the races later today and tomorrow. You know, that's the key here.
Generally what happens in these sessions, and you know this yourself, is the quick laps are usually turned in the last lap or the next to last lap.
Indeed, yeah.
So you have to wait for that checkered flag to fall. Don't make any assumptions before that. You have to wait for that timing monitor update, that last time to be recorded.
Right, speaking from experience, we don't jump and give people the top time because inevitably some driver pulls out a lap at the very end and ends up screwing everything up. You never say who the pole is until everybody's crossed the line because you just never know what's going to happen. Moises de Oliveira for D-Force Racing, the Mexican driver, the number 6, moving up to P6, actually just jumping over top of his teammate Corey Enders. Parker Thompson, again, as we said, spent quite a bit of time on pit lane. I'm going to say coming around probably about 8 minutes or 9 minutes on pit lane. Big adjustments to Parker Thompson. Rasmus Lind now goes to the top of the charts. That's a new track record. New track record.
119.89.
A 119.898, a new track record for Rasmus Lind. First driver to get below that 119.9 set by Richard Kent back in October of 2008. Rasmus Lind, P1, 119.8. How much farther down can we go? He's a half a second faster than his teammate. And you know they're going to turn up the wick. Kyle Kirkwood in the number 28, third. Daniel Frost, fourth. 9/10 separate the top 4. Everybody else falling down because that big lap laid down by Lind.
Petrov had stayed 5th quick for the whole session so far. Now Kirkwood up in a second. Stingray Robb drops to 3rd.
Yeah, wait for him to throw a flyer down too. That's it, right? Stingray Robb's shown good pace. Let's see where he is on the racetrack. I think he may be coming through that's him right there, coming through the corkscrew.
He's going to have time to do one more lap. We got about 1 minute and 20 left.
Yeah.
By the time he gets to start, finish, and crosses the line, he'll have time for one more flyer.
Stingray a 121.1 last time by, nowhere near what he needs to be unless he's cooling the tires down a bit for one more shot at it. Rasmus Lind, Kyle Kirkwood, the two drivers battling for the championship, first and second. This would be a bonus point for Rasmus Lind as well, which you never know could play into the hand. Kirkwood second, Robb third, Daniel Frost in fourth, Corey Enders fifth, Artem Petrov in 6th, De Oliveira 7th, Abel 8th, Camo 9th, Antoine Camo, and Parker Thompson 10th. He's back into pit lane actually for Parker Thompson, so I got to say potentially a mechanical issue for Parker for him to come back into pit lane, having just went back out on the racetrack. So Thompson back in 10th.
They were less than 30 seconds from a checkered flag.
Rasmuth a 1:19.898, a new track record for Rasmuth Lind here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. The young driver from Sweden, a year in the USF 2000 last year, was not able to score a race win, but came back and won earlier this year a couple of victories on the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Lind, Kirkwood, Robb, Frost, and Enders now your top five, as Corey Enders has jumped up to fifth.
Checkered flag. Session is over. We'll wait for the computer to digest the final times as Lind has broken that record that has stood for 8 years here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca with a 119.8986. But wait, there could be more.
That's exactly it. Stingray Robb across the line. He will not go to pole position. P3 for Robb right now. Corey Enders in fifth. Delavera 7th. Thompson 10th. Lastashkin 12th. Matt Round-Garrido 13th. Daniel Frost across the line. 121.3. Does not improve. It'll put him on the outside of row number 2. Kyle Kirkwood, though, the driver still on the racetrack, and Kirkwood lay one down here. Kirkwood, the 28, trying to steal away the pole position. That's that bonus point that Rasmuth Lind has grabbed a hold of, making it a 19-point advantage for Kirkwood going into the race this afternoon. Jacob Abel still to come. Artem Petrov, Kyle Kirkwood. Those drivers have not yet come across the line or into pit lane. So final seconds of the drivers finishing up. Kirkwood does not do it. He actually does his best lap, a 120.42. Not enough, though. Still a half a second off. Petrov across the line, as is the rest of the field. Rasmuth Lind for Hunkos Racing, the Swede, in the number 10. Able to lay down a track record time, 119.898. Rasmuth Lind, a bonus point. Crucial in this championship battle. Kyle Kirkwood comes home second in the number 28. Looks like one of the drivers coming and blowing by here. I'm not sure who that exactly was, rolling by the line. That might have been Charles Finelli, but regardless, Rasmuth Lind with the fast lap. There's your lineup there, qualifying 2. The race will happen tomorrow after the IndyCar main event. So if you're here to watch the IndyCar race tomorrow and you don't want to be part of the traffic, make sure to understand that there's a race still coming afterwards, a couple of them actually. I believe we've got our Indy Pro 2000 drivers plus Porsche GT3.
Porsche GT3 completes the day and the weekend tomorrow afternoon.
So Rasmuth Lind, P1, Kyle Kirkwood second. The 2 championship contenders battling it out here. They'll start on the front row for race 2 tomorrow afternoon. Stingray Robb and Daniel Frost will be on row number 2. Corey Enders and Artem Petrov on row 3. Moises Delavera and Jacob Abel on row 4. Antoine Comeau and Antonio Serravalle rounding out the top 10. Parker Thompson ends up 11th. Nikita Lastashkin in 12th. Matt Round-Garrido 13th. Philippe Dennis in 14th. Philippe would have been looking for more pace. Only got 2 laps, so must have been an issue for Philippe Dennis, who was very good. I think he'll start 5th, actually, later today. He had a pretty good run in that initial session. So actually he ended up in the 7th position when it was all said and done, of a couple of late run moves for drivers at the end of qualifying. But nonetheless, a great qualifying effort for Rasmuth Lind. 1 bonus point to make things exciting for sure as we get set to go racing now. I think we've wrapped up our qualifying efforts. It's nothing but races left. 6 Road to Indy races, 3 this afternoon, and 3 tomorrow as well. Indy Lights, I believe, kicking things off, Dick, at around 3:10.
3:10 it is for Indy Lights, but next up will be Mazda MX-5 Cup.